Hey guys, Mioni here of AceGamesTV. It's Saturday morning where I am, so good morning to you wherever you are and whatever time it is, and welcome. So today we're looking at Star Citizen again, more particularly the Star Citizen hangar. Now if you're unfamiliar with what Star Citizen is, I will put a link in the description below. There's a very cool video that the creator of the game, Chris Roberts, put together with his team at Cloud Imperium Games, showing you all about what his vision is for this project. But essentially it's a project that was put on Kickstarter that is completely crowdfunded. They've made $25 million already, so this game is well into the development process and is scheduled for release in 2015, I think. All being well, touch on wood. What we're looking at right now is the RSI Constellation, which is part of the Rear Admiral package, which I have since melted down my old ships to get. And as part of that we get this lovely ship, which we're going to talk about more in a second, but we also get this lovely red and white deluxe hangar, which is very cool. Some say it's a little garish, but I just say it's very sort of mood lit. Very, very sort of fancy. So this ship is sort of like your mid-tiered fighter, freighter, cruiser ship. So it's quite a popular ship. It's a jack of all trades, but not really a master of any particular role. That's why it's really popular to the fans, and indeed in the lore of the game. It's sort of like your go-to captain ship, basically. It's not the biggest ship in the actual lineup for release, not by a long shot. They've got the Retaliator, which is a 6-person bomber, which is slightly longer than this ship. Then of course you've got destroyer and frigates that are unannounced, and we also have the Bengal carrier, which apparently has a crew complement of 700. So obviously that's a lot bigger than this. But this particular ship is a 4-person jump capable little ship, well, big ship, and has 4 very iconic nacelles on the back here. The top 2 are thrust vectoring. The whole nacelle is thrust vectoring at low speeds, low imports, and of course the whole thing does fold back when we're in cruise mode, so this thing goes a lot more aerodynamic. I'm not sure how that's applicable in space, but a lot more streamlined when it goes to jump, essentially, or high speeds, and also unfolds again when we're in a combat situation. Talking of combat capabilities, this ship has various guns on it. We've got M4A cannons, 4 of them on hardpoints here as it comes stock. Of course, all of these parts can be customizable when the game is released, of course. It quite frankly looks the part. This particular shot here is my favourite from the front of the ship. In fact, the whole thing looks beautiful, but this is the most iconic to me, and what made me really not really think about the actual upgrade of this ship, because it looks beautiful, and it reminds me of the Prometheus from the film Prometheus. I'm going to put a side-by-side clip of that now here, and you'll see what I mean. It's this exposed sort of metal and glass cockpit sticking out the front, which is very iconic to this ship design. So props to CIG for making a ship that quite honestly looks the part as well, and by all the statistics that we have so far in it, it's certainly going to walk the walk as well. So let's actually go inside the ship, and to do this we have to go via this little floaty elevator. Now I will word of warning here, I've had to cut together a couple of pieces of footage. The original footage that I'm showing you now, where I actually look around the outside of the ship, the exterior, was old footage where the lighting module for the interiors were broken. So I'm going to cut seamlessly, hopefully, when we go inside to a better lit version. So, welcome aboard, my very own Constellation. So, occasionally my mouse likes to shake around. There's a little bit of a buggy nature to the ship at the moment in a recent patch, which causes my, not my hand, but my mouse, like the camera, to shake a bit, like I've got shaky hand syndrome and holding a camcorder. So I'll try and cut out some of the bits where it gets a bit annoying, so this will be quite heavily cut together. But as you can see, the first thing you see when you get into the ship now in the recent patch is the actual bridge. But before we get to that, we're looking at the dining area here. So there's this area that's completely clear. You can press a button on the wall here and to bring down this table and well, this dining area with seats. It's got its own lighting box now, and everything seems to be a lot more seamless. Things look a lot better in here. You still can't sit down on it, and of course all the controls and pads and stuff, all the artwork is completely placeholder, so it has engine readouts on every button at the moment, but I'm sure that'll change in the future. Remember, this is very, very pre-alpha. So yeah, that's the dining area. We can have a sit down, so I can imagine mid-flight we can have a talk around lunchtime. Maybe there'll be a mechanic where we can gain buffs or something from eating. I'm sure that we won't have to eat, sleep and drink. Maybe, I don't know. Chris Roberts is famed for his immersion levels, so we'll see how far that goes, but most games in the past have tried to implement stuff like that, and it's quite tedious, so maybe it'll be an optional extra, or maybe just a bit of fun, which is more than likely. So once you're done eating, you can put this back up. So really what we should do is go towards the bridge now. You can see this big central column here that's in the way between the dining area and the entrance and the actual bridge of the ship. This is actually turret control. You'll have turret controls that go up and down. The ship itself, the Constellation, has two manned turrets. Now, I'll show you the animations for that in a second, but before we do that, we're going to go into the bridge now. This is my Prometheus sort of like just nostalgia trip right here. It's essentially a big glass cockpit, and you can walk on some of the glass, and then you've got these 3 seats, and they swivel around. Look at the animation on this, isn't that fantastic? I'm going to try some different camera angles to show you. This is a placeholder character model here, this bald fella as he gets in. Pretty cool animations. They've got their own mocap studio as well. Part of one of the stretch goals was a mocap studio, so you can expect some really cool custom-made animations for character design. Basically, they're going a whole hog with this, and quite rightly so. With $25 million, you should be able to do quite a lot of cool things to a game of this caliber. So that's the view from the main cockpit, and of course you've got your maybe your navigation officer to your left and combat to your right, I'm not sure. But yeah, so you can walk out onto this glass. It's big open, lots of visibility, which is nice to see. A lot of the gripes with the Freelancer were its visibility and blind spots. This really doesn't have many. You've got lots of technology in a way, but it doesn't really get in the way. You've got such a big, wide field of view. One of the biggest complaints about this particular ship I have is a lack of windows or portholes to look out of towards the rear of the ship, which basically means if your sensors are down, visibility is pretty low, really. You can't just look out the window and see if anybody's tailing you. But that aside, let's move on to the turrets now. So like I say, you can get to the bottom one. That one is currently broken at the moment. You can't, well, there's no animations assigned to it, and the buttons don't work here. But if we click the bottom of the seat above, voila, we have the seat come down to us with this small animation. So it's worth noting as we sit on this that we should switch to an exterior view, and I'll show you the shielding opening, which is probably one of the coolest things. And look at that, isn't that fantastic? So I think the thing about the Constellation and all of the ships involved in the Star Citizen universe that Cloud Imperium Games and Chris Roberts are working towards creating here for you to play with is that the devil is certainly in the detail, and if you can expect this sort of detail at this level of pre-alpha now, just to imagine what you can expect when the game releases. And of course, they're putting this amount of effort that they put into this ship into all of the ships of, or from the Aurora, which is one of the smallest ships, or the M50, which is one of the smallest ships possible, all the way up to the Bengal Carrier. So all of these ships are going to have this sort of detail, this sort of immersion level, which I think is pretty exciting, honestly. There's not a game that allows you to freely walk around your own spaceship and fly it around and stuff like that to this sort of level. So I'm extremely looking forward to this, as you can probably imagine. But we should make our way to the sort of, well, the back of the ship, really. So we've got this big bulkhead here. This will have a sealed door on it that we can seal. Of course, piracy and mounting and invading other people's ships is a part of the game, so they're going to have bulkheads that we can close, and we'll have firefights inside here, FPS sort of firefights. You can pick up a gun. So this part of the ship is your cargo bay, essentially. It's one of the biggest cargo bays, in fact, biggest you've seen, and this whole entire area actually lifts down to ground level, when you know, obviously when you're not flying through space, which allows you to put your buggies on here or your cargo, whatever you've got, and has a capacity of, I can't remember, I think it's 30 tons or something, which is quite hefty. So you can put all of your crap in here, and then the hydraulics lift it up into here, which also acts as part of the deck as well. Now, another thing you may notice is actually a little bit at the back here. Now, the thing about the Constellation is it comes with a P-52 Merlin, which is a snub fighter, like a single player, single-seater, like little crappy fighter that you can launch. Now, obviously, this hydraulic platform doesn't lower to launch that; it literally just launches out. But we can see a sneak peek of that here, and I'll put up a bit of rendering video for you up here now, just showing you this. The P-52 is, like I say, a snub fighter. It comes standard with the Constellation, but of course you can upgrade this as well. This is basically the only ship so far that has its own shuttle or ship attached to it, so it's you can understand why this is even more hotly anticipated and one of the favourite ships, because it's essentially 2 ships. The possibilities for this are endless, as you can imagine, but more than likely I'll probably use it to land on a station or go down to the surface of a planet to do some shopping and then come back and dock with the Constellation instead of having to land the Constellation. You know, maybe that's a good idea. You never know, you know, because there is actually going to be fuel consumption in this game, and maybe the fuel costs are going to be pretty cheap for this, who knows. But anyway, so let's go on now to the next area of the ship. Now, just behind the P-52 Merlin slot, and indeed the cargo hold of the Constellation, we have ourselves 4 of these pods. Now, these are sleep pods for, obviously, long distance travel when you're going into, I was going to say hyperspace, but when you're jumping around the universe. You know, some destinations are going to take longer to get to than others, and maybe there's going to be a mechanic where people get tired. Who knows? Nobody knows unless we get some more details on that in the future. But regardless, anyway, but that's the sleeping area, and of course you can press a button again to bring these back up and lock them in place. So this reinforces the fact that there will be 4 people required for the ship. Doesn't mean that you can't have more than 4 people on your ship, it just means there's only room for 4 people to sleep. But of course, not all 4 people would be sleeping at the same time. Anyway, that would be silly. And behind here is actually a bathroom, which we're going to have a look at now, and we can look here. There's a toilet, which we can open the lid off and sit on the seat and admire the view whilst we take in the universe and have a crap. So that's wonderful. We've got our mirror here that isn't implemented yet. Mirrors come later in the game. And we have a sink, and we have a shower with a movable door. Now, the amount of animations and quality and just the attention to detail in this ship alone so far in a pre-alpha state is fantastic, and I hope you have enjoyed this video, and even if you're not interested in maybe pledging for the game, maybe this will get you excited for a game that will be coming out in 2015, which at this level, 2 years prior to its release, is absolutely fantastic, and I honestly cannot wait to see more of this. So that's what I'm going to do as we get more updates to the hangar and many other features, including the dogfighting module. I have alpha and beta access to this game, being a backer, so I will be sure to make more videos on that. So thank you very much for watching my video. If you need any information on RSI, well, yeah, Robert Space Industries, or you know, CIG, Cloud Imperium Games, or Chris Roberts and his company, feel free to look in the description. There will be links to both that official website and of course the original video showing you what is Star Citizen. My name has been Mioni of AceGamesTV. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.